Hey guys, welcome back to Data with Dominic. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the difference between direct plans versus regular plans in mutual funds. All right. So before we dive into the differences, let me just give you a quick backstory into mutual funds and how they work. So mutual funds basically work and are offered by mutual fund houses. All right, and houses offer multiple funds, but each of these funds has certain costs involved in making them operational. And this may be in the form of hiring and employing analysts and fund managers and their office overheads such as their building rent and then their peripheral computer accessories, internet, all those costs. All right. So these costs they pass on to the investors in the fund through the form of a surcharge or a percentage levied called the expense ratio. Expense ratio is a very key term in mutual funds. You should know what it is. And if you don't know what it is, check out my video. I'll link to it in the top right hand corner of your screen. But what an expense ratio is in brief is it's a percentage levied on an annual basis on the total corpus you have invested in a fund, and it's taken as a sort of charge for you being invested in that fund, and helps them meet all their operational expenses and gives them some profit. So typically expense ratios range from between 0% to about 2%, anywhere within that gap. But there's a vast difference between a direct plan versus a regular plan. All right. So now we come to what is the difference between a direct versus a regular plan. In a direct plan, you typically invest your money directly with the mutual fund house. All right. This can be through a digital platform such as their website or such as an aggregator's website like Coin by Zerodha, IND Money, Grow. These are some of the bigger ones. And you invest the money directly to the mutual fund house. There's no middleman involved. Whereas with the regular plan, there is a middleman involved who sells you these funds or offerings. This can be in the form of a broker, a mutual fund broker, or a financial advisor, or also a mutual fund agent, as they're sometimes called. So this is prevalent sort of in the over the last few decades when the digital ecosystem wasn't very strong, and there was a pen and paper process to set up a mutual fund, and you had an agent or a middleman who was involved in taking care of all these processes and setting up your SIPs and things like that. So where the key difference for you as an investor comes in between a direct versus a regular plan is in terms of the expense ratio. All right. So just diving into the computer to get a better idea of what that difference is. All right. So I've opened up Grow and I'm just looking at this Axis Blue Chip Fund direct plan. All right. So it's a direct plan, obviously, as you can see. And if we scroll down on Grow, all the way to the bottom, you can see that they've written expense ratio is 0.67%. All right. So 0.67% is the expense ratio for this Axis Blue Chip Fund. That means on an annual basis, 0.67% is charged on your corpus invested in the fund and taken by this Axis Bank Fund House for their operational expenses. All right. It won't be charged on one particular day. It's this 0.6% is divided by 365, and every day they take a small amount. It's a very technical process. I'll do a video on that later on. But for you, what you need to know now is it's 0.67% for a direct plan. Whereas if you come and see a regular plan, data same fund, Axis Blue Chip Fund, regular plan growth, the expense ratio of the fund is 1.56% for a regular plan. As you can see, it's more than double or between double and triple of what the expense ratio was for a direct plan. And diving into the differences, you can see that the difference is 0.89%. You might think, okay, that's not a huge amount, but 0.89%, 0.9% at the end of a 20-year investment in a mutual fund, and the way compound interest works is actually huge. So just when we dive into paper and look at that, you can see suppose we invested 1 lakh for a period of 20 years and it's compounding at about 15% annually. All right. So at the end of 20 years at 15%, you're left with 16.36 lakhs, right? A good return and could be expected in the current Indian market scenario. But when we see that difference of 0.9% between a direct plan and a regular plan, I need to lower this 15% by 14.1%. All right, because that's the kind of difference between the expense ratios of the two funds and basically the difference between how your money will compound, right? And you can see as soon as we lower this expense ratio by 0.9%, the amount becomes 13.98 lakhs. All right. And when we check out that difference, the difference in money at the end of 20 years on your 1 lakh investment is 2.4 lakhs. So you can see with the way compound interest works, a small change in your expense ratio, a small change in the compounding percentage has a huge impact on your investment value at the end of a long term. All right. So it's very important that you keep expense ratio in mind while making an investment, and also you weigh the pros and cons of going through a regular plan versus a direct plan. All right. So I leave that to you to make that decision. But for now, thank you guys for watching. I'll be doing a few more videos on mutual funds and the important things you should know about them very soon. So don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share this video with your friends and family.